Deputy President of the Chiefs Council, Mr. Charumbira. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yes. We saw the program which was started by the President, Emerson Mnangagwa, the program about the gukurahundi. We've heard a lot. We've seen stories going out. We are seeing you with the chiefs engaging the people. How is the program going? What is going to happen? And maybe you enlighten the masses who are listening now. What will happen from now on?
From now on, we are moving to the outreach. Outreach meaning the chiefs will conduct meetings with the victims in their areas of jurisdiction. And I want to emphasize the point that a lot of people have raised some concerns about language, for example, that you need to interact with the victims in their own language. It is true, because no chief will go to hear submissions by victims who is not the chief of that area. So the chief of the area, if we are talking of Chief Masen, we are talking of Chief Ndube, it is Chief Ndube and her people. No outsider chief will come and engage people in an area. This is a very important point, because most people have shown concern that how can a chief from somewhere come to interact with the victims. No, no chief from another area will do that. I want to repeat that point. It is the local chief with his or her people.
So this is not a Charumbira project. Charumbira won't be going to Nkai, won't be going anywhere. The local Kobo chiefs will deal with his own people.
Yes.
And then he collect whatever data.
Yes.
And the people working with this Kobo will be coming from the same area as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So Chief Skoko will be assisted by a panel of 13 people from the community again, who will sit as a panel. And among that panel is the chief chairing of the all elders in the community. You have pastors from that community, you have women, representatives on the panel, you have youth, you have counseling people who are experts in counseling issues, among others, 14 panel. But all these people are local people, no one from outside.
We greet you all on Material Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Tulani Ngala. Today, we will give you a brief analysis of an interview which was carried by Ezra Tshisa, the veteran journalist, with Mr. Charumbira, who happens to be the Deputy President of the Chiefs Council. Yeah, in the interview, Mr. Charumbira said that the chiefs are the ones who are going to receive submissions from the victims in their areas of jurisdictions. On that note, he emphasized the importance of language, of which he said all the workers which will be working with the chief will be the local people who understand the languages of the local people. Well, that is an important thing to consider when doing these hearings. Even though we feel that the hearings are not proper, because we don't feel that the perpetrator should be the one leading these hearings. The perpetrator can only fund the hearings, not detect the mechanism of resolving the gukurahundi genocide. Because we know that there is no perpetrator who will legislate against themselves, against their demise. So what we feel is that the government or the president is seeking to perpetuate the suffering of the gukurahundi genocide victims.
From outside.
What about these people who are outside the country now? What can they do so that they put their own input in there?
I'll answer that one, linking it with the Midlands issue.
Okay.
Because people say, but we've left out Midlands. We've said, no, this is part one, if I call it. It will give us some insights into the best way of addressing the gukurahundi issue. We'll move to Midlands after North South. And any other area that experienced with dissident activities or gukurahundi activities. Those that are outside, definitely we will not go to hear people outside the country. But this process will take probably 6 months or more. So we encourage those that are outside the country who have claims to make to come back. Just from South Africa, over the weekend, come. If you are busy at work in South Africa, you can schedule a meeting with your chief for a weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Appear and you go back. Because if you're in the United States of America, it's a different story. But we assume you come back once in a year, back to Zimbabwe. But for us to go out and interview people from outside the areas where these things happened, we may also become victims of getting information which is distorted, which is false information. Right. Yes, so diaspora are welcome, but they should enjoy. They will go to their own chiefs.
As the Tshisa Sibanda asked Mr. Charumbira about other people who are outside the country who were victims of the genocide. In his response, if you look at it closely, he dismissed that. He said those who are outside the country should come and give their evidence in Zimbabwe. Well, let's remember this. Most of the people who were directly affected at that time ran away because of the fear of the genocide. We know that the genocide was perpetrated by the state using state resources. So why don't they use the same state resources? It's either to go to South Africa, to Botswana, to New Zealand, to Australia, to America, to Britain, to talk to the victims. If they are genuine, why don't they do that? Or they sponsor all the victims who want to come and testify with money to come and testify back home. Why don't they do that? If they are genuine, how can they expect the victims to use their own resources to come and participate in a program which is skewed, which is tilted? Why should they use their own resources?
There are victims who are already dead now. How will these people be identified and what will happen to them? Because now you are meeting the real victims who are still alive. What about those who are died, who are late now?
The living will speak on behalf of the dead.
Okay.
That's basically how I can answer. The living will speak on behalf of the dead.
Okay. Yes. There's some publication newspapers which actually led. You're having a workshop, sanitization with the media here, and some of the newspapers gave headlines and say you are saying it wasn't a genocide. What happened? I don't know why they're saying attacks those things that is a genocide.
No, this exercise is based on the cultural, traditional ways of resolving conflicts within our jurisdictions. When you say genocide, it is something alien to us as traditional leaders. So allow us as traditional leaders to use the methods of peacemaking, conflict resolution within our own traditions and cultures. We have seen this in Rwanda. It has worked wonders. One of the best examples of peacemaking in Rwanda is the most peaceful to the continent. So we also say, let's not try and import other language, terminologies, and approaches which are not within our own cultural ways of doing things. So when you say genocide, for example, how does it fit in our traditional context? Or maybe it fits somewhere in another area or another jurisdiction outside Zimbabwe.
Okay, this is for the chiefs, is it?
This is for the chiefs, and it's done according to the values of a particular chief. If in your area, for example, you find that family X within their community murdered in family Y, the chief will say, no, in terms of our culture, you murdered their son or their daughter, and this is how we resolve the dispute. You are going to give us 3 head of cattle and give the other family, for example. So we want it resolved in our own traditional ways, which have survived over centuries.
Just recently, we have seen statements attributed to Mr. Charumbira, who said that the Gukurahundi genocide is not a genocide. Advising people to stop saying it's a genocide, particularly the press, the media, to stop saying it's a genocide, to wait until the end of the program. This man, Ezra Tshisa Sibanda, didn't forget, he asked him this question again. And in his response, he is saying, they are using their traditional ways of resolving conflict. Ah, Lord of mercy. Is that not an insult? What he is failing to say is that they are just whitewashing. They are just playing with people's emotions, playing with people's minds, playing with people's wounds and injuries, which were sustained during the Gukurahundi genocide. How can he say a genocide is not a genocide? How can a perpetrator detect who a victim in terms of defining what a genocide is? Then these are the people who are said to be responsible for trying to resolve the issue of the Gukurahundi genocide. Isn't it very clear what they are trying to do? That is to destroy the evidence, to pour salt, maybe let me say pepper, chilies, into people's wounds, into people's injuries. That's what they're doing. Right, they have guns, they have everything. They know that people cannot do anything. They can do nothing. But for how long? For how long will they do what they are doing against the people?
Okay. Lastly, what do we intend to achieve after you collect all this data? What will happen if you collect all the information about the victims or those who are deceased now? What will happen afterwards? Will they get compensation? What are you planning to do?
I confirm that there will be compensation for the cases that are clear, verified, and where they suffered, what they lost. The president himself, the head of state, has said, we will compensate. And that's why we are going out to get all those cases, verify authentic claims, and people will be compensated.
Lastly, what do you say to the masses, especially people from Matelen North, Matelen South, Bulawayo and Midlands? What do you say to them lastly that they should participate in this?
Ultimately, wherever there's been conflict across the world, and I want to say Rwanda, where within 3 months there was ethnic cleansing between Hutu and Tutsi. 1 million people died. But if you go there today, it happened in 1991. Ours happened in 1981 to 86, much earlier. So ours has survived much longer, the emotions much longer. If the Rwandans who did it 10 years later have already resolved and they are moving peacefully, we should also aim to resolve our problems. We are one family, one country. By the design of God, He made us into one country. There are so many tribes. Zimbabwe is not about Shona and Ndebele only. Even among the Shonas, you have your Karangas, your Ndauns, your Zulus and all that. So if each ethnic group fights another, surely we will not get anywhere. We need to unite. And this process should be supported. Those who have ideas come forward, but with a constructive intent that we have to resolve our problems, our grievances. People should be happy and say, okay, it's now past.
Again, Ezra Sibanda asked Charumbira whether people after this program will be compensated. What he is saying is also insulting. He is saying, yes, people will be compensated, but their cases will have to be clear and verified. Verified by who? By the perpetrator. Verified by the perpetrator. All right. What they do not understand is that compensation is very important. And the people from Matabeleland should be compensated. But they should never detect as to how that the compensation should be. For example, the compensation should be on different categories, on different levels. Firstly, it should be on national level, meaning the nation of Matabeleland as a whole should be compensated for the injuries, for the losses that they underwent. From national level, it should go on to regional level. For example, people of Cholocho, people of Plumtree, people of Gwanda, Bulawayo, all those regions of Matabeleland should be compensated as regions for all the losses and injuries sustained. From that, it should go down to community level. And it shouldn't stop there. It should go down to village level. And it should go down again to family level. If you kill someone in a family, you should not just say, oh, we're going to compensate just for this person who was killed. No, it should be the whole family compensated. The whole family should be compensated. Then, finally, it should be on individual level. They shouldn't detect to us, the victims, what shape and form should this compensation take place. What they should remember is that the people suffered in many respects. They were denied education. They were denied health facilities. They were denied employment. They were denied development. Their properties were destroyed. They were denied all opportunities of life. All those things should be looked into. All the psychological scars, the trauma that the people went through should be looked into.
Yikho okwenza ukuthi khona kube athibeleleni baqalisha ukukhuluma ngegukurahundi from day one bebulawa bagijimele emachechi bafika bakhuluma ukuthi nangu umgabe esithumela amasotshes osibulala. Yikho okwenza ukuthi khona kube lani kube le report ye breaking free eyiyo esele edunga namuhla abantu bemathibeleni bagcwele umhlaba wonke ungavula ama WhatsApp abini bakhuluma ngegukurahundi insuku zonke ukuthi umgabe wasibulala. Okwesibili, Chairman, it's not the beginning of the dialogue. I-dialogue ngegukurahundi, Chairman, iqalise emuva le ngo-breaking free asuka lapho yangena kumbovane. Sikhuluma namhla abafana babe organize imbovane lapha bagcwele umhlaba wonke babaleka ngenxa ye-central le. Abanye base-Britain abanye bekhuluma ukuthi asikhulume nini ngegukurahundi. So this is not the beginning. Kusuka lapho kwabuya ini ibheju likaZulu nanamuhla lokho bevalelwa bechaya besalelwa lokho besasikhulumeni ngegukurahundi. So it's not the beginning because ibhusi elinika imali ukuthi libe la sokuthiwa i-beginning ngoba sokukhuluma lina ama-professor ngoba sokukhuluma lina abamawetela then it's the beginning. No, it's not the beginning. Sisuka khona lapho uphayasi uze wanqunulwa waba yize enqunule ukuthi indaba esithi kawukhulunywe ngegukurahundi nanamuhla kakho uphayasi usegangena kulam lonke lalithule la ma-professor lonke lalithule akula wena wasukumayo wabuya wathi hey madoda kithi nampa abantu bathi kawukhulunywe ngegukurahundi asibancediseni lonke langena phansi la e-America la start China la start konke lithi udubo khona ekhaya la imisebenzi libuya abantu bekhuluma ukuthi hey madoda kithi nanti tu khangelani kanje. It's not new. It's not. Khathesi into eyenzakalayo, we are directing this dialogue to the wrong people. Abantu okumele li direct i-dialogue le ngabantu abafaka ikhotonu endlebeni le phezulu abayibo ama-command abuye esigabeni zethu ezobulala abantu yibo abangafuni batsheleni babuye kithi abantu sikhulumeni labo lingabuye ngapha kithi thina sifuna labana yibo abangafuni ukubuya kuzokhulunywa lina libuya ngapha futhi imali kumbe uthanda amawetela.